Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to the podcast. This is going to be a bit of a different one today, a bit of an unusual one. I was recently at the EU Chatbot Summit in Edinburgh, and while I was there, I took the liberty of interviewing a bunch of practitioners and leaders while we were there to get their thoughts on what's going down in the industry. What I did was I very quick interview with people like Chris Miles from Lebara, for example, Sabrina Brunner from Alliance, Lorraine Burrell from Lloyds Banking Group. Who else do we have? Daniel Fernandez from Uber, Guillaume Blackery from Carrefour, loads and loads of different companies. We had Andrew Lavis and Laura McLeod from Virgin Money. We had Kellin Sjoerds and Willeke van de Wetering from Essent, Alan Nichol from RASA, loads of different people from loads of different companies. And we were talking with ElevenLabs are in there as well, Fexco, Spix Industry, Microsoft, Tesco, Jaja Finance, etc. Anyway, what I did was ask them a question and then have them leave a question for the next person to be interviewed. So what this is essentially is all of the burning questions that are on the lips of the conversational AI community are being asked to other contributors in the conversational AI community who are answering those questions. So what follows is an initial question, followed by Chris's question, followed by his answer to that question, and the next question, and so on and so on and so on and so on. It's a bit like a caterpillar daisy chain of questions and answers. And so I hope you enjoy it. I hope you learn a lot. I certainly enjoyed filming it. Thank you to everyone that took part. Thank you to Sydney for organising the event. And what follows here then is the questions that are on the lips of the conversational AI community and the answers coming from the conversational AI community. Without further ado, let's get into it with Chris Miles from Lebara. What conversation in enterprise AI adoption are we not having that we should be having?
I mean, I'm a product manager, so I'm likely to say this, but I still think the conversation is a little bit too technology-led. What can technology do rather than what do we need technology to do and what are the problems we're trying to solve? So I think people are having this conversation, but I think the narrative is a little bit too focused on this cool thing and sometimes a bit far removed from what do the customers actually need. So I think focusing on that is the key.
Brilliant. And I'll do this on the mic. Last one. If you could leave one question for the next person to stand here, what would that question be?
Cool. So I think outside of the professional sphere, personally, if AI could do one thing for you, it doesn't have to be realistic, what would it be and why?
I'll keep it very practical. I really want AI to be able to test itself. So from in workflow, test how it's behaving like customers, what customers will do. Because, well, what we're seeing now, we have to test everything and we have to do it again and again and again. And with every little change, you have to do it again and you still forget all the scenarios. And it would be really cool if AI could do it itself and then just tell me, hey, this is what your application is doing wrong, and this is maybe how you can fix this.
I would go for more personal usage, and that's more like regarding mental health. So sometimes I like to use GPT just to talk about some thoughts or to talk about fears or whatever you're working with, and it will give you, of course, some general advices. But I would like it to be, if it's like how do you say this, like more the information is more filled from people who have a degree in this, so that the waiting lists for psychologists are very long. So it would be cool if there would be a public thing facilitated in this, and that you could get some good tips which will help you on.
What would you actually not change for AI or exchange for AI? So which application do you not want AI used in?
For me, it's any instance where it requires a human touch or some finesse. So that could be like a vulnerable customer or someone who just wants to connect with a human being. I think in certain aspects of, I don't work in this field, but maybe in therapy, I think part of the reason behind that is to have that human connection and I don't think you can quite get that from AI. How far do we think that agentic AI can go?
I do believe it can go very fast. We fully believe in agentic AI. First of all, on the process level, so we really do greenfield process refurbishing, but also on the customer facing, also on the chatbots. I do believe that banking will be headless, it will be implemented in agents, and then will have also agentic who does all the things that you want, right? And this then is really interestingly removing super lots of frictions, right? Changing a bank sucks so much. Oh, an agent can do it for you super easily and all of those things, right? You can search really for the best mortgage interest rates or the best loan interest rates, which you would stop after 7 minutes because it sucks so much, right? But an agent can take, I don't know, an hour, or even it probably doesn't need an hour, but really find you the best offer for you. Yeah, I think the question would be, how do you find the talent that you need, and how do you attract the right people to work on this stuff, and how do you incentivize them to, first of all, take care for the customer safety and all of those topics, right? But on the other hand, also try to push the topic as such.
Well, it's difficult. It's difficult, right? Because I think in banking we also had the same topic 10 years ago or 15 years ago with the digital transformation. Now we have it with AI. No, look, in the end, you're competing with every other company on the market, right? When it comes to new technology, you're competing with every other, I would say, medium to big size corporation. I think the topic of what is the freedom you allow, right? So you need to have a solid tech stack, right? If you don't have a solid tech stack and things to experiment with, people won't come to you, right? Why would you come to work with old technology? So that's, I think, already almost a hygienic topic. But then the question is, what do you do with it, right? Then the question is, coming back maybe to the vertical topic I was talking about before, where do you deploy it, right? Where do you see results for the customers? Where do you see results for the organization that you can say in a year from now, right? If you would ask me in a year from now, what did I do? Right? I produced this. And I think top talent wants to see results. And I think you need to create an environment where you orchestrate the teams in a way that they are fully responsible to deliver results. But they also get the benefits out of that, right? And that's difficult. It's difficult in organizations, and it's also difficult how we are currently built, right, historically, because maybe too much freedom was not wanted historically in different parts of the organization. But I think we need to change, and I think we need to change fast, because if we don't, probably we won't have a lot of very smart, passionate people working for us anymore. For the next person, I think, maybe something similar to what I was asked by the person previously, right? If we have another conference in a year from now, right? What would you want to see in the next conference, right? What kind of demos, what kind of keynote speeches would you want to see a year from now?
Yeah, well, I loved, I just saw Rui's talk from Lloyds Banking Group, and he said that he gave a talk here last year, and then proceeded to ignore all of his own advice and build the exact opposite of what he was advocating for the course of the year. And I'd love to see more of that, right? I think we have to keep challenging our assumptions, because it's a cliche that the technology moves quickly, but it's moving so quickly that qualitatively different things are possible all of the time. And so what's a valid set of assumptions and constraints now won't be in 12 months' time, and you have to be building for that, and you have to be thinking about your architecture and your approach and your strategy for that, because you're going to be changing pretty fundamental assumptions about everything that you're building and how it works under the hood, really every 12 to 18 months. So thinking about the partner that you want to be working with and the way you want to architect your system to continue to evolve with that. So I'd love to see more examples of people being willing to change their mind and having the humility to come back and say, well, and we tried something different and here's what we learned, and to see that progress, to see that continued progress in the field. So the question I'm leaving for the next person is, do they predict that 12 months' time we come back to this conference? Do people still feel that AI skills and Gen AI skills in their organization are a bottleneck to progress?
I think, very interesting question. The way we approach it at Jaja is that, there's always, you need to always be on the lookout for talent and attracting talent is a matter of becoming attractive yourself as a company and as a use case? I think yes, but that yes isn't reduced to AI. I think there's always room for more talent in everything that has to do with technology. It's an ever-evolving topic. So 12 months from now, we'll have probably a new piece of technology that no one's ever heard of that has to do with AI or agents, and that people will need to spend time learning and developing on. I think the secret there, and something that we do at Jaja, is encouraging people to learn while on the job. So you do come with the knowledge of AI, for example, until now, but then when the new technology arrives, you and your team spend time learning it and developing that skill on the job. Because assuming that somebody will come and know everything about an industry that keeps growing every single day, I mean, my knowledge as of 5 minutes ago is probably obsolete by now, right? So you need to have that open-mindedness. So yes, definitely yes. One has to stay, one has to go forever. Many small agents delivering very specific tasks, or one big agent covering everything with a large context?
Monolithic agents need to go forever, and we stay with the multi-agents, at least for now. I think having worked with a monolithic, like giant prompt, we've all done that in the beginning when LLMs came into play, and there's so many negatives around it. At the same time, I've also seen the complete opposite of that, which is creating tiny agents for every single thing, which also isn't great. So trying to find the in-between and the balance, I think that's where we should be heading.
Brilliant.
So what technology do you wish you had tomorrow?
I would really love to see more technology deployed in healthcare. And it's coming a lot, but it takes a lot of time because it's a public service most of the time. But there is some really exciting technology, I think, coming up, and I would like to see healthcare centralized, more centralized than it is today, and more inclusive than it is today. My question for the next person would be, if you could think of a perfect application of an AI technology for the benefit of humanity, what would it be?
Yeah, so this will maybe shock you. I have actually got a pacemaker and an ICD, and the research in heart disease over the last 10, 20 years has been pretty static, and I know the British Heart Foundation are looking into cardiomyopathies right now. So if we could use AI to extend the research into cardiomyopathy, benefit me and others with drug treatments and new technologies to potentially solve heart disease or my particular condition, then I feel that would be a massive benefit to everyone globally, because it's still very much unexplained. I don't know why it happened to me. Thankfully, I'm here today, but let's put AI to good use and solve some health use cases. The next person I would like to ask, what was the last agent that they built?
So I've been related to how we can optimize the clinical trials, which are very expensive, very dangerous sometimes for the patients. So the idea is how we can help the people and the process of developing with a chatbot. So we have the data, but we don't have a way to address the data and query the data. So the chatbot is supposed to create an interface for people that cannot know how to work with the data.
Very good.
Tell us where we can get a copy of the book.
Then, Salvo, I'll let you know.
So you can find in Amazon and many other retail stores.
Yes, and Pact, and yes, and Amazon mainly.
Brilliant.
Very good.
And tell us what it's about.
Well, so here, guys, we spent, first of all, 1.5 years to write this book. It was really exhausting, but we bring actually all our knowledge. So what we are saying here is the real power. So the key point is a knowledge graph. RAG is actually great, but the key to take actually the real power of AI is you have to combine RAG with the knowledge graph. This gives you actually a great advantage to your competitors. Do you want to add anything?
No, I just want to say that basically we bring you not only the theory but also how to develop that. So theory and practice at the same time.
Considering what you know now, would you change or you treat your data, your knowledge differently now in your company, or you want to keep basically the same? Okay. You want to change the strategy in that sense?
Yeah, so I think it would be to have begun thinking about data governance earlier, to have begun to have data sets ready for what's coming, because it's the fundamental fuel of AI, and most legacy companies have a giant amount of data, but not necessarily accessible or usable already. So I think that's a big one, yeah. The question I would like to leave for them is, what role do they see humans playing alongside AI in the future?
I think it's sort of the wrong question. I think AI will always be the thing alongside humans at the end of the day. We ask and answer this question a lot, and I think it's sort of like the Industrial Revolution. Jobs will change, things will evolve. The things that are super important today and need a lot of human involvement might not need it in 10 or 20 years' time, but human populations have only ever grown and people have always been employed. So I would say I'm an optimist in that respect. I always think there will be more to do for humans, and human creativity and the human touch cannot be underestimated, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. What are you most optimistic about in the next 12 months? What's the project you're working on, or the deployment that you're doing at the moment that you think is properly moving the needle? Like, what's most exciting?
I am most optimistic about AI being able to simplify tasks in my personal life. I think we see a lot of workplace AI usage in order to make us more efficient and to help with those day-to-day tasks. I want to see some adoption of that in my day-to-day life, to take away the mundane adulting tasks and do it for me so I can focus on the things that I love and enjoy. If there was one thing that you would be cautioning people about AI, what would that be?
Yeah, so that's actually a main part of my job. So it's difficult to answer in a sentence, but I think it depends really on what your goal is. So of course you can say you ask them how happy they are if they're calling back, in our case for a voice bot or chatbot. But it really depends on, are you trying to push them to use the account? Are you trying to get them to do something themselves? So I think it depends on, is this about being like a fun bot, being like full-fledged service bot, or is it about solving something the easiest way so that users are okay with it and still keep using it? So for us it depends on the use case. Yeah, I have a question. So how do you deal with the intersection to business, basically? So for me, also in conversational design, it's always tricky between how much do I need from the requirements and how much do I do in the conversational design, and kind of how do you bridge that gap from everyone wanting to pitch into AI topics, but also keeping it kind of clean and structured.
Don't skip design, because it's really tempting to charge forward, and just try to prove out the technology and keep pace with the evolution of the engineering space, but actually you need to be able to think about what the problem is that you're trying to solve, who it's a problem for, who are your users, what are the tasks that they need to complete. And if you don't do that, then it will come back to bite you later. Okay, so my question is, what do you need to think about when you're evaluating the experience of agentic, of agents?
I think we have to work across teams. It's really digital. I always call it digital transformation on steroids, right? So everything is changing for everyone. So you need cross-functional teams across the company. And it's hard to even say, well, you put an emphasis on just one aspect. It's important that all teams sit on the same table, understand the target direction, can raise their concerns, their importance, and that there is a person who then moderates that and drives that ahead and makes sure that things don't turn in circles, but that they then move ahead and that steps are taken, actually. The question leaving for the next person is to say the one thing that typically people ask you and where you hope that in the future a chatbot and voice bot can take care of that repetitive activity.
So my job is customer experience. So we deal a lot with metrics like customer satisfaction, CSAT, average handling time, automation rates, deflection rates, and that needs to be on the top of my mind continuously, right? Every week we need to know what is going on with these metrics. So we know what is the health of our company, of our users. I would love to have a chatbot that I can just ask that and say, hey, what's going on right now? What happened in the last 4 hours? Definitely that the technology is there and that should be able to, we should be able to do it. But that's definitely something that I would love to have a chatbot answering that question continuously for me. I would like to talk about metrics. So because I work in customer experience, when we talk with customers, the way we are assessing if we are doing well is with CSAT, right? Average handling time, NPS. And this tells us a lot about what's going on. But with AI agents in place, maybe we also want to gather information about how well the agent is doing and how can we improve the agent continuously. So the question will be which kind of metrics or new metrics we could utilize to assess the health of our agents and improve them?
It's a good question. I think it's the number of tasks accomplished compared to the number of tasks initiated. Because I'm sure a lot of tasks will start and the agent will be interrupted or ask for a human review and the human discard the action and the task. And I'm sure this kind of ratio between the number of tries compared to the number of achievements could be great. What will be your security challenge in 2026?
I think we talk a lot about using AI to AI the AI, and I think just having really clear boundaries and guardrails around what we use AI for and where the comfort levels sit is probably the one thing to keep in mind a little bit more.
So there you go. Interesting insights. Did that work? Was that enjoyable? Let me know. I found it quite interesting. Certainly enjoyed filming it. And if that works as a format, maybe we'll do that again at the next event that we go to, make that a bit of a thing. Let me know what you think in the comments, in the chats, hit me up on LinkedIn, and let's see if we can do it again. Thank you again to everyone that took part. Thank you for Sydney for organising it, and see you on the next one. Bye now.